When you feel like you have no one, how to rise? Anyway, there is a kind of pain that almost no one talks about honestly. Not heartbreak, not failure, not even grief. It's the quiet, heavy feeling of looking at your life and thinking, I have no one. No one really understands me. No one truly has my back if I fall. It's just me. You might have people around you, family, colleagues, followers online, and yet, deep down, you still feel emotionally alone. Very often, this pain belongs to the strong ones, the listeners, the problem solvers, the ones who hold everyone else together. But when it's your turn to fall apart, you don't know where to go. If something inside you is whispering, "That's me," I want you to hear this clearly. This is not the end of your story. Carl Jung once suggested that when you feel you have no one, life may be guiding you toward the most important relationship you will ever have, the relationship with yourself. Before we go deeper, let's make this feel less like a lecture and more like a shared moment. Go to the comments and write the city you're watching from. Just your city, New York, London, Lagos, Nairobi, Toronto, Sydney, Karachi. There's something powerful about seeing how many people across the world are listening to the same message because they know what it feels like to be the one with no one. And if content like this, psychology, emotional healing, inner growth, speaks to you, take a moment to like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who might be quietly struggling right now. Now, let's talk about something no one told you growing up. Feeling like you have no one does not always mean you're failing at life. Sometimes it means you're transitioning. Sometimes it means you've outgrown the people, roles, and patterns that once surrounded you. Sometimes it means life is pulling you out of old identities so a truer version of you can rise. From a Jungian perspective, life has an inner intelligence, something deeper than your conscious mind, constantly guiding you toward wholeness. So when you feel abandoned, it may not be punishment. It may be disruption, life-breaking false foundations so you can finally build something real. But the question becomes, how do you rise when it feels like you're rising alone? Not in a motivational quote way, not by pretending everything is fine, but in a grounded, honest, soul-level way. Let's begin with loneliness itself. Loneliness is not simply the absence of people. There are people who are lonely in marriages, lonely in families, lonely in crowded rooms. At its deepest level, loneliness is the gap between your inner world and your outer life. When who you truly are has nowhere to land, nowhere to be seen, heard, or met, you feel alone, even if your phone is full of contacts. So when you say, I have no one, what you may really be saying is, I have no one who sees the real me, no one who asks how I am and is ready for the truth, no one I can lean on without feeling like a burden, and that hurts. But here's where the mirror gently turns. If no one outside you is holding space for your inner world, the first task is to stop abandoning it yourself. This is not blame. It's an invitation. Many of us learn to speak to ourselves the same way the world spoke to us. When you're tired, you say, keep going. No one is coming. When you're sad, you say, stop being weak. When you dream, you say, be realistic. Who do you think you are? So, one of the most powerful ways to rise when you feel like you have no one is to stop treating yourself like no one. You begin becoming the person who does what others never did. You listen to yourself. You believe yourself. You care for yourself. This is sometimes called reparenting, becoming the safe, supportive presence you didn't consistently have. Does this erase the desire for real human connection? No. You are wired for relationship. But if you wait to rise until the right people appear, you place your entire life on pause. Rising alone begins with a quiet decision. I will not abandon myself anymore. That decision shows up in small ways. Going to bed instead of numbing yourself until 3 a.m. Eating a real meal even when no one is there to eat with you. Creating a simple plan for your day so you don't drift into despair. Telling yourself the truth instead of escaping it. These actions may look small, but psychologically, they are profound. Each time you take your own life seriously, you send a message inward. My existence matters, my energy matters, my feelings matter. Rising is not one big moment. It is a series of quiet, deliberate acts of self-respect. Now let's talk about another painful truth. You may feel like you have no one because you spent years being everything for everyone else. The strong one, the fixer, the emotional anchor. And eventually, the question appears, where is everyone now that I need someone? That realization can turn into bitterness. And that bitterness is understandable. But look at the pattern with curiosity. Were you ever allowed to need? Did you practice vulnerability? Or were your relationships built around being useful rather than being human? When people only know you as strong, they assume you're always fine. Rising means stepping out of being a role and into being a person. It means learning to ask, not beg, for support. Can I talk for a few minutes? I'm having a hard day. Could we go for a walk? I don't want to be alone tonight. Sometimes people won't show up. That will hurt. But the goal is not perfection. The goal is consciousness. You are learning how to be supported while also becoming your own foundation. Finally, let's talk about meaning. When you feel like you have no one, it's easy to ask, what's the point? From a deeper perspective, your life is not random. You are not here only to serve others. Your soul has its own direction. Ask yourself gently, if no one applauded, if no one noticed, what kind of life would still feel meaningful to me? Maybe it's creativity. Maybe it's learning. Maybe it's healing others from what you survived. Maybe it's a quiet, simple life rooted in peace. Meaning doesn't remove pain, but it gives pain a direction. So choose one small commitment for the next 30 days. Something that serves your future self, not to impress anyone, just to prove to yourself, I can show up for my life. As you do this, something subtle happens. You gain self-respect, and self-respect changes everything. You stop begging for crumbs. You stop shrinking to fit small spaces. You stop abandoning yourself to stay connected. Loneliness shifts from no one wants me to I haven't met my people yet. And slowly, life begins to respond. You find a book that speaks your thoughts, a conversation that feels like home, one person who says, I see you, not all at once, but enough to remind you that you're not broken. So if you're listening and thinking, I really do feel like I have no one, let me say this clearly. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to wish for more support. But then ask one brave question, what would rising look like for me this week with what I have? One small choice, one act of self-respect. Rising is quiet, private, stubborn. And one day when someone says, look how far you've come, you'll know the truth. You rose when no one was watching, when no one was clapping, when it was just you and the decision not to give up. And that kind of strength is earned. If you want, I can.